Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the new moon. It's on November 19. It's at 28 degrees of Scorpio, and this forecast is for Taurus and Taurus rising. And this is the new moon chart, but because this is specifically for Taurus and Taurus rising, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a 0 Aries chart, and then I'm going to rotate the chart. And we're going to rotate it so that Taurus is on the ascendant. And so we can see here we have a really exciting new moon happening here. Oops, I lost my pen. There we go. So this new moon is right here, and we've got it exactly conjunct that Mercury retrograde. So that alone would make a pretty special new moon. However, there's more. And that is that it's making a trine to Jupiter. It is making a trine to Neptune and Saturn. And these, of course, are trine each other. That forms a grand trine. And then there's an opposition to Uranus. And that forms our kite pattern with the sextiles from Uranus to Jupiter and Uranus to Saturn and Neptune. So this is actually the top of the kite, and the Sun, Moon, and Mercury are the tail of the kite. That means that the new actions that you take during this time are going to be the rudder of this kite. It's going to help direct this kite and tell it which ways to go. Now, in a kite pattern, the challenge is that we get so focused on the opposition that we forget about the grand trine. Grand trines are easy energy. Easy doesn't necessarily always mean good. It just means that it happens without any effort. Now, that means that, though, to get the benefits of it, we can miss it because it's so effortless. If you do take some action, then things come together. They will come together in a small way anyway. They come together in a bigger way if you take action. But because it came together in a small way, most of the time doesn't occur to us to take that action. So what kind of action are we talking about? Well, the Jupiter says that we should expand, and then the Saturn-Neptune combination is check the blueprints and go in the direction of the plan. So, and those things they're in harmony right now because they are a trine. However, it's a little bit of threading the needle, because the idea of, I want to expand, which says, I just want to cut loose and move forward. The Saturn says, pull it back in, let's rein it in and make sure that we're heading in the right direction. So the problem with all of this is going to be that Uranus is in your own sign of Taurus. It's back in there, and it's going to be hanging out there until April 2026. That's a long time, and I think it's all the way to the end of April, so you have a lot of time. And this Uranus represents all the distractions that can come into your life there's something that is right ahead, but it's actually a distraction. It's the thing in your face that's saying, no, you have to pay attention to this. When in actuality, you should be pivoting and going a different direction. And that is challenging because, especially for Taurus energy really excels at moving forward, one foot in front of the other, staying on a course of action. But the thing to remember is your course of action is over here. It's over here with the Saturn and the Neptune, because that's the plan. Or it's over here with the Jupiter, which says, here's the way to expand. But that Taurus is going to feel so comfortable because it's your sign. And I should have said Uranus is going to feel comfortable because it's your sign. Now, with all of that said, let me erase some of this. Venus, which is your planet ruler, is nearly unaspected in this chart. There's only a couple of aspects that it's making, and those aspects are not that pleasant. It's making a semi-sextile to Mars and a sesquiquadrate to Neptune. So though that's not very happy energy for that poor little Venus, your planet ruler, which means that you do have to do something that is out of your comfort zone. You do have to do something if you want all of this abundance, and it's huge. There are so many opportunities here, but they are not going to look like what you expected them to look like, and there are a few steps out of your path, a few steps out of your comfort zone to grab hold of. Now, with such a strong 7th house overall, and your planet ruler in the 7th house, what we can expect is a lot of these opportunities are going to come from people you know, people you meet, people you admire, but also even people that you don't get along with. Everyone who has some direct interaction with you is potentially going to give you ideas and opportunities that you can then take to move forward. So it could be somebody who irritates you, who says, you know, I think you should do such and such, and you say, oh, I'm so unhappy that they said that, but they have a point. And that is then the option to go for. So this is something where you could receive that information from start to finish on this new moon that helps you pivot or make a change that then takes you to the treasure that you're looking for. So thinking again about this new moon, what we have here is Mercury in retrograde, coming back and sitting exactly on that new moon. Now, Mercury represents our thinking process and logic, and so when it is so close to the sun, it's wonderful because it can energize that Mercury. It can give you new thoughts and new ideas, real brilliance. When it's so close to the moon, that can be trouble because that's where logic and emotions get all jumbled together. And so the challenge is that you are going to get new ideas, but they're not always going to be ones that you want to embrace. And if you can just pause and say, you know, let me just sit with this for a while. Let me just get a little bit of comfort with this, a little bit more comfortable with this, because when you do that, that's when the idea starts to take hold and grow into something that's useful. Now, one of the things that's important about this chart, it is such an abundant chart. It can mean that exactly what you've been asking for, you have. That, you know, you might have asked for a job and you have it, but it's not the job that you like. It's not the job you want. Or you've asked for a love relationship and you have it, but they're irritating you and they're not doing as you asked. It is those things that are represented by that Uranus opposition, which is then what can you change? And you have lots of avenues right now for change. That is just try something different. Go towards the Jupiter, go towards the Saturn, Neptune. Those are your ways to do it. And it's the new moon that's the rudder, that controls the direction. And so that's you. You can do that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, obviously, this is really an exceptional chart because you have such a strong 7th house. We always check for love relationships with your 5th house, which is ruled by that Mercury retrograde in the 7th. Now, Venus is not making an aspect with Mercury, but they are in the same sign. And so that does indicate that there is some harmony here, some opportunity. One of the things that could happen is instead of a new love, it is someone from your past coming back saying they do want to try again, they want to have a love relationship, or this is someone who was a friend or an acquaintance from the past, someone maybe you went to school with or from the old neighborhood who now is starting to come around, and maybe a love relationship can blossom from this. Now, with that opposition to Uranus that we keep talking about, there's going to be plenty of distractions, and that might mean that you are thinking, oh, I want this person from my past to come back, but it's someone else who comes. And if the universe is offering this, it's like, go check it out, see if there's some possibilities. Try not to dismiss something that is sent to you right off the bat. On the other hand, of course, this is a chart that does say it's okay to pivot. So the other person comes back, you connect with them once or twice, and you say, oh, it's still not working. You can then say, nope, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to take a new road. But overall, for love relationships, specifically new love, this is very strong energy. And now when it comes to your current love relationship, your existing love relationship, we're still, of course, checking on Venus to see what Venus is doing, but now we want to know what its interaction is with Pluto, which right now there is no aspect going on. However, what's happening is that Venus is in Scorpio and Pluto rules Scorpio. So we do have a hidden aspect. So that means the two of you have a chance to really strengthen this love relationship based on the foundation of this relationship. Not necessarily what's going on right now, but how you got together. What is your shared experience? What is the thing that you have in common that maybe it's something that you don't think about so much anymore. Maybe it's something that has been, kind of buried over time, but now could come forth as being the thing that's really helpful. This could be something like a belief that you have, a goal that you have, that you have these kids together, and so therefore you're going to work everything out. So very strong relationship energy, but it starts with digging down and looking at the foundation of that relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, of course, we look at the second house, and that means we are talking to Mercury, and Mercury is retrograde, exactly conjunct that new moon. That is this weird combination of starting something new again. And so that can mean that you're just, let's start something new and try it, and let's start something new and try it, and start something new and try it, and you're just doing some experimentation. It also could be that it was something that you did start new fairly recently in the last few months, and since the previous retrograde, and now you're just going to give it one more try because Mercury's retrograde. That energy really is focused on connecting with other people to find out their feedback. So if this is something, an idea you have, go find someone you can talk to about it. If this is some product that you're selling, introduce this to some, one part of your marketplace. This is the way to connect with the money. With an aspect like this, the more people you talk to, the more money you make. So that's the direction to go if when you're making more money. I just wanted to jump in really quick to say that my big class on predictions is coming up soon. It's on November 9th. We're going to be talking about the year of the fire horse as well as Western astrology predictions. And so if you are interested in what's ahead for 2026, then there is a link in the description with more information and to register. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, of course, then we are concerned with what's happening between the second house and the eighth house and those rulers. And great news, these guys are making a lovely trine. So this is an opportunity that you have to make something happen in your business, and it just comes together. It may be, one quick phone call with your broker gives you investment ideas galore, or an into a new type of investment. This could be sitting down with your business partner or someone you're collaborating with because of that Mercury in the seventh house, that you are able to then pull together a deal very quickly. This would indicate that it's quite possible that you're making more money over this next 2 weeks. That Mercury, of course, is going to do a trine to Saturn and Neptune, so some of that money is going to go out again in business expenses, but still, this is really good energy. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be a paycheck, we are concerned with the 11th house. That would be money derived from career. And Mercury is making a trine to the Saturn and Neptune there. Specifically, we're interested in the Neptune energy because Pisces is on the 11th house. And this indicates that there is really some possibilities for you to make more money in your job, even in this job market. Now, because we have Pluto, and I've talked about this with you before, because we have Pluto so elevated in your chart right now, that can indicate that a job change is necessary. That could be within your company or that you are actually getting a new job. But you have extremely good energy right now for making more money in your job. It's probably going to bring more responsibilities. It's probably going to mean more duties, more things to do. The energy here, though, is shifting away from the energy of last month, where it was just a lot more work to do, to now making better connections with people, finding more people to get involved on your team. So doing more one-on-one stuff is the keys to making more money in your job. With an astrology reading, you get more information about who you are, your talents and abilities. You get to see what obstacles are ahead, and you can get a game plan for how to get past those obstacles and find success. So if you're interested in having a reading, there's a link in the description.